Well, we continue our conversations here at the US-India Idea Summit. It is my pleasure to welcome on the program Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw. Kiran, always a pleasure. Many thanks for joining us here. You know, you've of course been part of the USIBC and trying to do what the private sector can do to further and converge the aspirations of both the US and Indian relationship. How would you quantify where things currently stand? What do you believe has materially changed?
Well, you know, if you look at India's positioning in the context of what's happening globally in terms of geopolitics and macroeconomics, I think we are very well positioned to basically play a very key strategic role with many parts of the world, and especially the US. In fact, most recently, they've also, you know, the Congress has passed the Biosecure Act.
Yes.
And that again provides a huge opportunity for the Indian pharma and biotech sectors to really take advantage of what's happening or what's going to happen as a result of the Biosecure Act. So I think India's capabilities are improving. I think our talent hub is definitely something that we can brag about. And I think we have scale in many of the sectors that we're looking at. So I think it's a good time for India, and it's a good strategic partnering time for both India and the US. So I think I believe that, you know, from all my interactions and efforts at USIBC, I feel this is our time to really forge this partnership to a very new level.
Well, this is our time, as you point out, but you know, you preempted my question about the Biosecure Act, which has been passed by the US House of Representatives. And as the legislative process continues and takes its own course, explain to us the implications, the impact, the benefits that it could accrue to Indian companies like Syngene.
Yeah, so first and foremost, I think they have actually named companies which are directly Syngene's competitors in China. And they are very large competitors. So I think that would sort of push them back in a certain way. Of course, they have kind of, you know, provided some time to, you know, wean themselves off these kind of contracts. That is the US companies. But as you know, the US is the biggest market for contract research. And Syngene certainly is positioning itself to, you know, reap the benefits of the Biosecure Act. So I think it's something that every contract research or CDMO company will look at. I think India needs to really invest in both you know, infrastructure and in the R&D space, as well as in biomanufacturing. And as you know, the government recently announced the BioE3 policy. I think right now it's basically a very, you know, intent sort of focused policy. But I think we need to translate into action.
You know, you talked about Syngene and the possible benefits for Syngene and other CDMO companies. What are you going to do now in order for you to be ready to leverage on the opportunity that opens up on account of the Biosecure Act?
Now, as you can imagine, the Biosecure Act has been in the works for quite a long time. And of course, Syngene has been in touch with many of its old customers and new customers to see what this would mean for them as companies. And we have seen a lot of interest coming our way. I think the number of RFPs we are receiving have more than trebled. So I think there are signals that companies are seriously looking at moving away from China to India in the research services space.
Is there an estimate of a number that you can share with us in terms of how you would quantify this opportunity over the next few years?
It's too early to tell, Shereen. Over the next few years, you're not going to see huge impact. But I think in the next 5 years, you're likely to see a big shift.
Okay.
And it could be, of course, multi-billion-dollar opportunities for Indian companies.
That could open up multi-billion-dollar opportunities. Let's talk about the US market, which, of course, you spoke of in your introduction. In terms of your biosimilar portfolio, Kiran, if you can give us an update on where things currently stand.
So, as you know, one of the real sensitive areas is insulin. And I think we're in a, you know, sort of prime position to address that particular need that the US is currently perceiving, because there is a sort of signs of there being a challenge for the US because of the GLP-1 focus. So many of the insulin companies are, having to shift from insulins to GLP-1s, and there is a likelihood of there being a drug shortage of insulins. And we are already seeing a big pickup for our insulin glargine in the US. We are touching the 20% mark in the US already. So I think we are seeing an increasing demand, not in the US, but world over. I think this is a very interesting opportunity for us because we are also the only company that has a portfolio of insulin analogs which are very close to approval. So I think it is really a very interesting time for us. So of course we have a portfolio of biosimilars which straddles both insulins and antibodies. Even in the antibody space, we are seeing a very good, performance in the marketplace, where products like trastuzumab are also touching the 20% mark. Pegfilgrastim is also touching the 20% mark. And we've got other products which we believe will also be very, very important for us going forward. So I think the US is a very important market for us. It is a market that is showing a strong adoption of biosimilars in general. The Affordable Care Act and insulins was even discussed at the presidential debate a few days ago. So you can see that the US is very focused on bringing down healthcare costs, and they can't do it without biosimilars and generics.
And that continues to be a window of opportunity that you will focus on. Well, speaking of opportunities, Kiran, what we've seen with the weight loss drugs, with the way that Ozempic has now sort of become this miracle cure for just about everything, how are you looking at that opportunity? I mean, you do have a foot in the door, so to speak, but how do you see that playing out for you?
Well, it is a very big segment. And, what puts us ahead of others is that the technology is very similar to insulin technology, and we've mastered the insulin technology very well. And I think, of course, we would be the only company with this very unique combination of insulins and GLP-1s. We've already, got liraglutide off to a start. And, of course, like every company, we are developing the others as well. And semaglutide, I'm sure you're aware, is going to open up in 2026 in certain emerging markets, and it's going to be a huge market. Of course, it's going to be a very competitive market because there are going to be many players, but we believe we have some good advantage because it's not just about, it's not a pill, it's a device, it's a delivery system that counts. And we have very good devices when it comes to delivery of, products like insulin and GLP-1s. And so we believe that could be a differentiator for us.
If that will be the competitive differentiator as far as you're concerned, I mean, again, I hate to tie you down to a number, but, what could we expect in terms of incremental revenue opportunities on account of you getting into this starting 2027?
So, if you were to look at what is being talked about as a pre-genericization revenue of GLP-1s, it's exceeding $100 billion. Now, if you look at just semaglutide, it's again a very, very large number, like excess of $50 billion and more, and growing, I would say. But, once it genericizes, it's still a very, very large addressable market. And, you haven't even seen what it can be in the emerging markets because it's not available at that level in the emerging markets. So once there's a demand and an aspirational demand for Ozempic, like a generic version of it, I think it's going to be a huge opportunity with a few players who can really make it to these markets because it's not easy for everyone to make. So there is a synthetic version, and then there is a recombinant version, and we have both. So it depends on, how large the market opportunity is and how we want to play in that market. It is going to be a sizable opportunity for sure.
Well, speaking of sizable opportunities, I would imagine that you're also looking at investments that could potentially be sizable as well. But, there's a lot of talk around the fact that you're out looking at raising funds at this point in time, perhaps in talks with private equity investors as well. Kiran, any truth to that?
Well, you know, we've always said that we would pare down debt. So obviously we are looking at, equity investments that could pare down debt as one of the, ways of paring down debt. We are looking at other options as well. So there is some truth to the fact that we are looking at equity investments for sure. But we are also looking at other options.
So, let me address the equity options first before I address the other options. Are you close to being able to close something with a potential investor? Is it likely to be private equity? Is it likely to be another pharmaceutical vaccine manufacturer? Is Serum likely to pick up more stake, for instance?
I know there are rumors, doing the rounds. I will not be able to comment on any of those things, but I think it's important for me also to maintain confidentiality in terms of these investment opportunities. I think we have a very porous system which keeps sort of, speculating, and I don't want to add to it.
No, I understand, but what is the debt reduction aspiration at this point in time? What is a realistic expectation that we should work with?
So, first and foremost, I think, as you would have seen from the last 2 quarters, we have comfortably serviced our debt. So it's not like it's a dire situation. I think as an entrepreneur, I have always wanted to be at a very low level of leveraging. And that's why I think we will look at paring down debt to a lower level. I would like to see how we can basically make this a very comfortable business where I don't have to keep kind of, worrying about, looking at our exposure in the future. So that's the way I'm looking at it. So I would say that I'm in a position today to say that we can comfortably service the debt, but I'm not the kind of person who feels comfortable at these levels, let's put it that way. So that's why I wanted to reduce further so that it sort of basically gives me a better sense of comfort.
Speaking of comfort, and you spoke about the other options, the non-equity options that you're considering at this point in time, sale, hiving off businesses, what could be on the table that you're considering?
No, we would look at several options if it makes sense. But at this point in time, I think we are really focusing on equity options. Well, and some other financing options.
Okay, you said you don't want to add to the speculation. Let me put on table another piece of speculation that keeps doing the rounds, and that has to do with the fact that you're looking at putting the company on the block, Kiran. And last couple of days that WhatsApp message was doing the rounds once again.
Well, I can categorically deny that rumor or the speculation. I'm an entrepreneur who has built to last. I'm not going to sell out. And I don't think you should pay any heed to such speculation.
Well, what is the succession plan at this point, Kiran, that you're working towards?
Well, I think I have a very professional team of people. I think we have a very strong board. I've also made sure that the board is composed of very strong independent directors. That's the way I would like the governance model to be. In terms of succession planning, I'm almost at a non-executive level, except in certain businesses where I play a strategic role. But most of the operational responsibilities are assumed by my management team. So I really don't think I need to really worry about that kind of succession at this point in time.
We are going to take a break here, but continue our conversations with Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw right after this. Welcome back. You're watching the India Idea Summit, and we're in conversation with Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw. Kiran, you said that you built a company with a mindset of building it to last. I also want to understand from you what it takes to build a company with a mindset of building it to lead. And especially as you look at the future today, what do you believe are the strengths, the advantages that you will continue to build on to ensure that you lead?
Yeah, so I think, what has been the hallmark of Biocon as a group is really our ability to innovate, our ability to differentiate, and our ability to pick up opportunities ahead of others. I think that's what is going to keep us in the leadership position. we have to, think differently. We have to strategize with a view to not following but leading, in which case you have to pick opportunities ahead of others. And of course, I've always believed in differentiation through innovation, and that's what it's all about.
So in the pipeline, in the innovation pipeline, what's got you most excited today?
Well, right now, we are very focused on the biosimilars piece. We are, of course, very focused on the GLP-1 space when it comes to generics. And there we are looking at differentiation through innovative drug delivery devices. So that's something which we are really focused on. The second thing is, of course, that Bicara, which is a very innovative molecule that we have developed in our labs, is in the process of going public in the US. So I think that also would sort of be a testimony to, to our innovation quotient, so to speak. So I think that's the way we look at it. We have a lot of other things, in store for us, but we would like to sort of visit it one step at a time.
Let me just address the regulatory challenges as well, and there are FDA-related issues both with Malaysia as well as the Bengaluru plant. Any update on where things currently stand and how quickly you will be able to resolve them?
Well, we are, in the process of receiving US FDA feedback. So we are in that, and, Malaysia has to be re-inspected. So we have no visibility on when that would happen, but of course the US FDA Commissioner has said that there is a backlog of inspections which she said she would try and accelerate. So let's hope that things, work out in the way we expect they will. We believe that we are in, at a good level of control of all our operations. We haven't seen any concerns around GMP per se or data integrity per se. So we just hope that, we go through this phase in a successful manner.
Kiran, let me end by asking you, we're pretty much at the end of this calendar year and heading to the close of the financial year. How would you sum up this year and what are you looking forward to in the next fiscal?
I've been very proud of the acquisition and the transition that we've made over the last 1 year. I think that was a huge effort, and I think my team did a terrific job of integrating that business and transitioning the business to us. And today we are running in a very efficient way. A seamless transition is what has been possible through the way we've gone about this business. So that's, something that we've achieved very successfully last fiscal. Now it's actually going to be about growth and, developing the pipeline, new approvals and new markets. I think we are focused very much on some of these great opportunities that I just mentioned. Market share is something that we are, looking at very seriously.
What's the market share target?
Well, across markets. I mean, right now I would say we are seeing good traction in the US, but we also want to see the same traction in other markets like Europe, So I would say that the focus now is going to be about efficiency, about, of course, paring down debt and really building a very robust, engine in the biosimilars business so that we can really prepare ourselves for an IPO in the near future.
Any indicative timeline as far as the IPO for the biosimilars business is concerned?
Well, we want to target within the next 2 years, if not sooner, but that's the target.
Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw, always a pleasure. Many thanks for joining us here on CNBC-TV18. We wish you the very best of luck with the plans that you've outlined here with us, and we look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thanks, Shereen. Always a pleasure.
Well, we are going to take a break here, but the conversations will continue at the India Ideas Summit. We're back in a moment with more.